All right, so jumping right into things tonight, as you see, we're talking about missing your toxic ex, how to stop missing your toxic ex. And today I'm actually going to bring a response to a post that I saw online. And I find that this post can really, a lot of people relate to this. So as I read it, we'll talk about it more. But if you are someone who is out of a toxic or narcissistic relationship, you know that it was not healthy for you. However, you still find yourself missing the person. You still find yourself missing being with them. You're frustrated with yourself because you know that it was not healthy. You know that they were psychologically and emotionally abusive. However, you still find yourself missing them, right? You just want to be able to let go and move on, but you just can't get rid of this feeling that you miss them. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Let me just, one more thing. Okay. So if that sounds like you, go ahead and put a 1 in the comments. So let me read the post and then we're going to get into it. So before I jump into that, actually, let me just introduce myself to those of you who are new to me. My name is Naila Abdul. I'm a mental health therapist, formerly mental health therapist, mental health worker, counselor, now work as a toxic relationship coach. I got you, dog. And I pivoted into that because of my own personal experiences. Although I had a background in mental health, although I knew about narcissistic personality disorders and different personality, destructive types of personalities, I still end up finding myself in a 10-year narcissistic relationship as well as narcissistic family relationships. And after being able to overcome that, being able to heal from that, and get to a place where I was able to no longer, feel the emotional pain of it, no longer, govern my life based on those experiences, because that's really what healing is about. It's not just, oh, I feel better and I'll never be triggered again. No, we're human. We will be triggered at times, but healing is coming to a place where those triggers are far and few. And if they do happen, you're able to manage it. You're more aware of self. You have shifted from the person that you were that got into that relationship, and you've shifted the way you handle those things, and you're not dealing with the emotional pain anymore. You're also not governed. You're not governed by that experience. You're not making decisions based on the pain and the trauma from that experience. So that's what I've been able to do for myself. I've also been able to do that for other women. And here we are tonight talking about this particular topic on how to stop missing your toxic or narcissistic ex. So I'm going to start off by reading the post, and then we're going to jump into it. So the post goes, and I just summarized it. I don't miss being abused. This is what the person says. I don't miss being abused. I miss my routine. I miss waking up Saturday morning to him playing music and making coffee and a clean home. I now live with my hoarder parents until I get a new job. I know he was abusive, a cheater, and even allowed his family to disrespect me, but I can't help but to miss him. So we're gonna approach this from 3 different angles, and this is the angle that I teach my clients to use as they are processing these feelings and these thoughts. And this is what I encourage you to do. So the first angle we're going to challenge this at is to bring clarity to the abuser's behavior and the dynamics of the relationship, right? Because when you're in the relationship, you're not really understanding why they're doing what they're doing. It causes a lot of confusion, which is the point, is to confuse you. And then you also want to understand the dynamics of the relationship, you to them and them to you. So bringing clarity to their behavior, as she spoke about, waking up to music playing and coffee sounds very romantic, right? However, she mentioned multiple times that it was an abusive situation. So to bring clarity to the behavior and the relationship dynamics is that people who are manipulative, whether you identify them as a narcissist, as a toxic person, but they're manipulative, right? Everything they do has a motive to control, and in order to control is to confuse you. In order to confuse you, what they do is they will give you a mixed experience to keep you around and convince you that there are good parts to them, right? So you will often see this with people who are narcissistic, manipulative. There will be good times. There will be fabulous times. There will be peaceful times, right? That is to confuse you, to make you hold on to hope that, okay, even though they're abusing me, there's still good moments, and maybe he can channel the good moments more. Maybe there's hope that it'll be more good than bad, right? That is a strategy that they use to keep you around. They want you around, they need you around, they need someone to abuse, they need someone to control, right? So keeping you confused, keeping you hopeful, that is a strategy. So that is something that you want to pay attention to when you find yourself, oh, I missed this part, I missed that part. Basically what you're saying is you miss being manipulated, right? And you don't mean it in that way, but that's actually what's happening, right? This is not a genuine peaceful person. This is someone who is throwing you, as they call it, breadcrumbs, right, to keep you hopeful. The second angle we want to target this at, again, and this is what I do with my clients and encourage you to do this as well, is to understand your role and your participation in this situation. Now, some people get defensive about this, but hear me out. You cannot heal, right? You cannot move on. You cannot break the cycle of toxic or narcissistic relationships for yourself if you don't pay attention to your role and your participation in it. Because the reality is that these people are here. They're not going anywhere, right? I'm not going to say they're born, because personality forms throughout our childhood, and they develop that personality based on their own experiences. But they are here. So you get rid of one, and there's several others that will cross your path, right? So we can't change that, but what we can change is ourselves. So it's always fun and it's always interesting to put a lot of energy into researching narcissists and toxic people and identifying all of that. And that is helpful to a certain extent. Like the first approach that I spoke about was bringing clarity to their behavior, right? So to be able to understand that, but the deeper part is being able to understand your role. So in this particular post that we're speaking about tonight, is she is following the societal rule to see good in people, but to a fault. There are some rules in our society, and I somewhat blame religion. Now, don't get me wrong, I am a spiritual woman. I guess you can say I identify as Christian. I read the Bible as my source. However, I do believe that religion and society has taught us certain things that keeps us in toxic situations, right? Because we want to be good. We want to do it the right way, okay? And trying to see the good in people to a fault, it's okay to see the good in people, but when you're doing it to the extreme, to a fault, that's where you start to hurt yourself. So that is one role and way that she is participating in this abuse, and in holding on to this hope, right, and to missing them, is that she is trying to still hold on to the good in people. You have to understand, what you see as good in some people is pure manipulation. It's pure acting. There is no good, right? There is no good. It is an act. It is a strategy to keep you around. So when you choose to hold on to the good and downplay the abuse, right? And abuse, because I know sometimes we try not to label it as abuse, but abuse is causing pain and suffering and having no remorse or concern about it, right? So that means if someone is causing you pain continuously, or even if it's sporadically, and they're showing no concern about it, that is abuse, right? So seeing the good in people and ignoring the abuse, that's not healthy. That is not healthy. And that is something that you have to let go. It's okay to be a good person. It's okay to see the good in people, but do not downplay the abuse either. So that's one part of the role and participation in her suffering. The other part is that she is living with a limited mindset. What do I mean by that? She thinks the only option to have this lifestyle, to wake up on a Saturday morning to music and coffee, is just through him. That's a limited mindset. That is you telling yourself, this is the only way I can have that. If you like a peaceful Saturday morning, if you like coffee, whatever it is, you can create that for yourself. Now, maybe there's something that he said to her over the years that made her feel like she can't do that for herself, but honey, you can. And my message to anyone who is listening to this tonight is that whatever parts of the relationship that you like, you can create it for yourself. You do not have to pay the cost of abuse in order to have the good parts. You can create it for yourself, right? So let go of that limited mindset that I can only have this enjoyment if I'm with them. You don't have to pay that price to have the lifestyle that you want. So whatever great things you got from that person, you can create it for yourself, and minus the abuse. The other part of the role and participation is that she believes that she misses him, but it's the fantasy she created around him, the good moments that she misses. So she doesn't really miss the person. She misses the fantasy, right? Our brains are so powerful, right? And that is why when it comes to healing, when it comes to letting go, when it comes to breaking the cycle of toxic relationships, it's all up here. It's all up here. It's not about some of it has to do with the physical steps, right? The action steps, maybe leaving or going no contact, things like that. But the real transformation comes with mindset. And that is predominantly what I work on with my clients. It's about the mindset, really changing your perspective, right? So the fantasy she created around this person, again, she created a fantasy that we had good moments. We woke up in the morning together. We played music. It is a fantasy. It is a fantasy. The third and last approach, so we talked about two approaches so far. When you are dealing with, these confused thoughts, you're missing the X, any situation that you want to figure out, right? You want to approach it from three angles. The first angle we spoke about was bring clarity to their behavior and the dynamics within the relationship. The second angle is to understand your role and your participation in the situation. And the third one and last one we're going to talk about is what is the next step now? Now that I have clarity about why they're doing what they're doing and the dynamics between us, now that I understand my role in participation and helping them to mistreat me, right, and to be in this mess, right, now what do I do? Now I have clarity about all those things. Now what do I do? So in this particular case, couple things she can do, or you can do if you're in a similar situation, is that the euphoric perspective is an illusion. You have to reprogram yourself to realize this fantasy, it is an illusion. It's a euphoric illusion that he created and that you're maintaining. So again, they strategically give you a mixed experience of good and bad, right? Knowing that you have the mindset, right? You're an optimist, you're hopeful, you're positive, you're desperate to make things work, that they know that you're going to hold on to those good moments, right? So they created this illusion and they know that you're going to maintain it, right? So your role now, what you need, your next step is to release the delusion. Release it. Release it. And it's easier said than done. It's something you will have to continue to repeat to yourself. This is programming. When we're shifting our mindset, when we're changing our perspective, it is programming and deprogramming. So deprogramming the illusion of the fantasy and now reprogramming that it was a delusion. I need to release that. It is not what he made it seem to be, and it is not what I created it to be. Right? The other step to take is to create faith in yourself that you can create the lifestyle that you desire. If you like peaceful mornings, create your own peaceful mornings. You like playing music, create your own music and have faith that you can give yourself the same great feeling that you felt with them. Sometimes we put too much stock into other people. If you believe that someone else can make you happier than you can make yourself, that is a problem, and that means there's more work to be done. That means there's some deeper digging that needs to happen to figure out, why can't I create a peaceful atmosphere for myself if that's what I like? If I like to do X, Y, and Z with them, why can't I do it for myself? Why do I need to sacrifice my integrity, my self-respect, my health, my mental health, my emotional health? Why do I have to pay all of that in order to get the life that I desire? Why can't I create it for myself? So that is the next step, creating that faith in yourself, starting to practice giving yourself what you like that you got from them. And now you don't have to pay that price of abuse. The other next step that she can take, or that you can take, is so piggybacking on that last point that I just made about creating the lifestyle, like I said, if you feel like you don't have the confidence to create that lifestyle for yourself, that is a sign for deeper work. So whether that means taking more time to process, well, why don't I have faith in myself to create the lifestyle that I want? Why do I feel like I can only get it from him, or that I need to jump into a new relationship and get it from them? Where is this coming from? That is something to figure out. And if you cannot figure it out on your own, and you see yourself feeling stuck, that is where you seek professional help. That is where you get some assistance, because sometimes it is hard for us to figure things out on our own because we're biased. That's the way the brain works. And the last point I want to make about the next step to take to work towards healing, rebuilding yourself, and breaking the cycle is be willing, and some of you have heard me say this before, be willing to endure short-term discomfort for long-term peace. She spoke about the fact that she missed her home with the ex, and that she felt stuck and she wasn't happy with her hoarder parents, and she's there until she finds a new job. Being with her parents is a short-term discomfort. It is a short-term discomfort. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable. If you prioritize your peace, your self-respect, you said, this is enough, I don't want this anymore, then you need to be willing to pay the price of short-term discomfort. And again, if you find yourself not willing to be uncomfortable for a short time, knowing that that time will pass as you work on rebuilding yourself, but you're willing to pay the price of allowing someone to abuse you, again, there's a discrepancy. That is where some deeper work needs to be done, because you're making decisions that are not in your best interest. And that goes against the law of nature, right? As mammals here on this planet, we are here to survive, right? So if we're making decisions that is not in our best interest, right? A lion is not going to go out there and choose, I'm not going to eat today. He needs to eat to survive, right? Human beings are a little bit more complex. We need more than just food. But if we are doing things that is against our benefit, that is against our best interest, that is a sign something's off. That is a sign we need to figure out, why am I doing this to myself, right? Why am I basically sabotaging myself? All right. So keep in mind these three angles that we spoke about. If you're in this situation that I just read, this case that I just read, or post that I just read, for those of you who catches the replay or who are just coming in, someone missing their toxic ex, they know that it was an abusive situation, it was an unhealthy situation. She mentioned it several times, but she keeps missing the good times. These are the different angles to approach it. I'll read it out real quick again. Bring clarity, right? And this is called processing. In therapy, we call this, you got to process your thoughts, your experience, and make sense of it, and to make the mental shift, right? So first step, bring clarity to the behavior. Why are they doing this? Why were they doing this? Because it's confusing. It's like they say, the math ain't mathing, right? It's not adding up. Why are they doing the things that they're doing? What is the dynamics between us? Second angle, second approach, understand my role, right? That's taking responsibility for your role. How is I contributing to it? And then what do I need to do next? What do I need to shift? What new perspective do I need to take on? What deprogramming needs to happen? I hope that this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, let me read this out. Who's in here with me? Soko, that's my problem. I reminisce on the good. Yes, Soko, that is very, very common. A lot of people do, and that's what keeps people stuck, right? That's why I always say healing and moving on and overcoming a toxic and narcissistic relationship is not about just getting out of the relationship. That is the first step. That is the tip of the iceberg. The real work is